What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Anthony with VR365. Welcome to another episode of our show. Let's see here. We are up to episode 91 now. It is Thursday. It is February 7th. The year is 2019. It sure is. Yeah, the year is 2019. What is going on, guys? Don't have a ton of stuff to get into today. We might have a bit of a shorter show than normal, but we'll go through all the stuff that we do have. We'll get into the things we do got, and we'll go ahead and go through all of that. All right, so the first thing I wanted to start off with today real quick before we get going is I need to thank some of the Patreon supporters. I've been meaning to do this, and I kept forgetting to do this. So let's go ahead and start things off with Jesse Benson. Yes, I did want to thank Jesse because you know what? Previously, I thanked Gary Haylock. And Gary, I believe, was my very, very first Patreon supporter for VR365 and for VR Game Rankings. The very first one, Gary Haylock, I believe. Now, Jesse Benson was number 2. And so I want to thank Jesse, and I need to thank Jesse in additional ways, like not just being a Patreon supporter, because Jesse was actually helping me with VR Game Rankings, the website. He's actually written a number of the mini reviews that we have on the website. He's written a number of them, and he's helped me out, in fact, even recently writing a handful of mini reviews for a number of games on VRGameRankings.com. And he's helped me out with some other things as well. He's given me some advice, he's given me some suggestions on how to do some certain things. I've talked to him on Skype before. Really cool guy. Jesse Benson. Yeah, I did want to go ahead and thank him. Actually, you know what? I mean, he in chat, he was known as Jay Benson, and I don't know if I still have that. But I used to have like a little Benson thing, remember the from the regular show? I had a little Benson thing. I don't know where that is now. But anyway, let me go ahead and put a different trailer on the screen. But yeah, I just did want to say thank you to Jesse Benson for that Patreon support. Absolutely appreciate that, to be sure. Okay, so what is the big story of the day? And everybody pretty much already knows what the big story of the day, and it kind of came out of the blue. I don't know that any of us were really expecting this game to come out all of a sudden today on February 7th, but that's what happened. So here it is, Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs. I think they made a mistake here. It should have been called Bay of Pigs, right? I mean, Angry Birds VR Bay of Pigs. That's what maybe it should have been called, but it's called Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs. Join Red, Chuck, Bomb, and the Blues to save the stolen eggs in Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs, an immersive VR adventure. Discover the remote island where the greedy green pigs take their vacation in 50-plus fun-filled levels, with more to come. And the developer of this game is Resolution Games. It is available for $15, and this is on the Vive, and it is on the Rift. Now, the way I understand this, there are 4 different worlds, and each world has 12 levels, and that obviously 4 times 12 is 48. But each of the levels each of the worlds also has a final boss. So you also have that as well. Now, I was seeing on the Vive subreddit, actually we could switch over there really quick here, and I got it on the old version of the Vive subreddit, and there's something kind of weird about this. Has anybody else noticed this? That like all the little pictures on the left side, you have to be on the old version. Like I could switch to the new version, but we're on the old version right now. And the pictures are all kind of like faded out. It's kind of weird. But Ben Plays VR, he gave his little 2-minute quickie review here. One of the things that he talked about is that he basically ran through this entire thing in about an hour. He says, I beat it in about an hour. So for the regular price of 15 bucks, I think it's a bit on the pricey side for the length. However, one thing that he mentioned is if you're a completionist, if you want to get the perfect score on every level, if you want to try to keep making it faster and faster, or basically improve your stars and do all of that, then obviously it's going to last a little bit longer than 1 hour. And also, if you have kids and stuff, I mean, you know, some of us have kids, and it might be a good idea to go ahead and get involved with that in terms of if you got kids, you might want to have a nice VR game for that as well. So let's go ahead and switch back over here to our standard scene. And you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and pump up the volume for this Counterfight trailer, Counterfight 3. I'm going to pump up the volume, and we might as well check out the quick little Angry Birds trailer that is out today. The launch trailer, we'll go ahead and check that out real quick. So here I am. I'm going to go ahead and pump up the volume. Okay, so yeah, that is Angry Birds VR, Isle of Pigs. Apologies on the sound there. I had my computer sound like way the heck pumped up, and so it was super loud in my headphones, and then I realized, wait a minute, did I accidentally turn up the sound? And then so I turned it way down, so sorry, the sound was probably really low on that. Okay, so here's the thing about Angry Birds VR. Should we really care that much about this? Remember, we have Furballs VR, Furballs VR Demolition, or whatever it's called, which is basically Angry Birds. It was pretty much, you gotta feel bad for those guys because their dream has pretty much been shattered with this release right here. They're gonna have to really lower their price. They're gonna have to switch things up because the real McCoy has arrived. And so imitators need to step to the side. Now you have the real deal here. And one of the things about Angry Birds that I think we can't realize just by watching a trailer or just hearing about it is the actual production value, the sound effects, all the little bleeps and bloops, the menus, all of that. From what I understand, I have not been in this yet, but the way I understand it is that there is a level of production value, there's a level of quality, there's a level of spit, shine, and polish on this that we don't get every day with VR games. And this is something I noticed. It's one of the reasons I recommend, there's a game called Tumble VR on PlayStation VR, and it's very simple. It was made by Supermassive Games, and it's basically Jenga. You know, it's pretty much Jenga. You use one move controller and you're moving things around. But the thing about Tumble VR that sets it apart from most of the other VR games that we see a lot of times is just the production value, man. Every little noise, every little thing, every little menu that pops up, every little message, it is so dialed in. And we don't get that. We really don't get that a lot with VR games. Even some of our AAA games don't even have that. I don't understand it. It's weird, but there's something about that polish and spit shine that I really like. Now, the question is, do you really want to kick out $15 for this? That's a question. It's interesting, too, when I'm looking at this trailer, like the way the trailer's starting off, it looks almost like that Magic Leap trailer. Like, why don't they have her wearing a headset? But, you know, it's a pretty good trailer. It looks pretty good. This is Angry Birds. A lot of people love Angry Birds, and let's go ahead and switch back. Let's switch back over here to the Webby browser. So yeah, you know, this is the Steam page for Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs. It is also available on the Oculus Rift. It is on the Oculus Store right now. Now, you might be wondering, what about PlayStation VR? Well, let's go ahead and bounce over to the PSVR subreddit. And if we go ahead and go into the comments on this, Angry Birds VR, right here on Twitter. I don't have this in my tweet window, but Matt Aces says, are there any plans for PSVR? I see that the Rift and Vive version are coming today. Yes, it is on Steam. It is on Oculus Store. What about PlayStation VR? And they did reply to him and they said, hi, Matt. Yes, we are working on releasing the game for PlayStation VR. Stay tuned. So yeah, it will be coming to PlayStation VR. So basically hold your horses there. I don't know how quickly it's going to get to PlayStation VR. But yeah, there is one company that is not very happy about this, and that is VR Furballs Demolition. These guys right here, Gamily Studios, you know, their dream has pretty much been shattered today. So this game arrived on November 8th, 2018, and basically every single day that they've had prior to the release of the real McCoy has been a dream come true for these guys, because if you wanted Angry Birds in VR, this is basically where you had to go. You had to go to the off-brand, and it's not bad. I've tried the demo. In fact, I encourage people, try the demo for VR Furballs Demolition. Not bad at all. Actually, a pretty damn good imitation of Angry Birds, to be honest. But, you know, their normal price is $15. They are on sale right now, 35% off. I got to imagine that once all of this blows over, I got to imagine that their standard price is about to drop to $10, because they're going to have to differentiate themselves, and in terms of a price standpoint, because now real McCoy has arrived. So that is Angry Birds VR Isle of Pigs. Okay, one of the things I did want to do today, because we do have a relatively light news day. There's not a ton of stuff that's going on right now. And yesterday, on yesterday's show, we got into a lot of discussion about the Oculus Rift S, which a lot of it was pure speculation, like no question about it. But I thought we could go to the mailbag, because there might be some interesting stuff over here in the mailbag. And so one of the things I wanted to say really quick is, and I should have made this much more obvious and much more out there in the open about that, we're basically operating here. It's pure speculation for the most part. Like, you know, I got into a lot of talk about the software IPD adjustment, but we really don't know. I mean, this is just some code that Upload VR kind of sifted through, and they found a couple of things here. We don't know anything. I mean, this is all speculation, but I think everybody kind of realizes that, but I probably should have kind of started out with that and said, look, we really don't know anything here. All of this, we could be talking all, you know, spending all this time. Like, look at all these little topics I went through. Oculus Rift S details leaked in new Oculus update. I thought the Rift S was an appeasement. You don't want to piss off an angry mob, the vocal minority. Software IPD adjustment. You got to be kidding me. Could I spin this software IPD adjustment? Inside-out tracking does make sense. You know, all these things, and it's all based on pure speculation. Like, we could ultimately find out about the Oculus Quest S, and maybe all of this was much ado about nothing, and that none of this crap is true. So we have to understand that real quick. But I did want to go over a few of these comments here. Okay, so William Gerrietti Jr. says software IPD is just a cheap imitation of hardware IPD, just like inside-out tracking is a cheap, imperfect replacement for the external sensors. I am not impressed at all. And yeah, well, software IPD, what it is, see, the reason why companies go with this idea is because you can use a single screen. You can use a single screen. You basically divide it in two. You have a single screen in there. Now, the problem is you can't independently move a single screen. You can move it this way or that way, but it's not going to work. You can't independently move it for a legitimate IPD adjustment. So what it does is it uses a software-based IPD adjustment. It tries to correct in software for how off it's going to be physically, and it doesn't work very good. It works okay. For example, let's say that the fixed IPD is 65 and your IPD is 63 or your IPD is 67. Okay, well, it's only a little bit off, and the software correction is probably going to do the job for the most part as long as your IPD is really within range. But see, where this really hurts people is it hurts people that are on the extremes. It hurts people with the really tiny IPD and the people with the really huge IPD. You know, so it is a bit of a problem there. Shiny Robot says, good show, Ant. Thanks. Say hi to Job. Yeah, I do need to bring Job onto the show at some point. Great show tonight, Anthony. That's Tony M. I really appreciate the nice comments here by both Shiny Robot and Tiny M. I absolutely appreciate that. Ragdoll Coon says, if anyone asks for my recommendation for a PC VR headset, I'd tell them to wait for the Rift S. That's an interesting recommendation. We don't know what the price of the Rift S is. We don't really know exactly where it's being positioned. If they really are going with this single screen, it kind of seems like maybe the Rift S is, it's almost like they're basically redoing the Oculus Rift. The Rift S could possibly be a replacement for the Oculus Rift. It might not be the headset we really want from a standpoint. It might not be the appeasement that we were thinking it was going to be for the hardest of the hardcore. One of the things we have to remember, I didn't bring this up yesterday, but one of the things that we have to remember is the Oculus Rift was launched, what was it, like March 28th of 2016? Well, March 28th of 2019 is not that far away. We've been around for 3 years, and for 3 years, they've basically had the Oculus Rift on store shelves. And has it changed at all? I know there's people that have bought Rifts recently and they think, oh, the lenses have been improved. The God rays are less. I don't know, man. I don't know that that's actually legitimate. I think that's kind of placebo effect. One of the things we know about like the HTC Vive is it has gotten lighter. Like the weight has been reduced. They've made some minor improvements here, some minor improvements there to the HTC Vive that ships in a box. And so the Oculus Rift S, one possibility is this is not the high-end headset. This is simply a straight-up replacement for the current Oculus, and the current Oculus will be phased out. The Oculus Rift S is coming in, and one of the ideas that Oculus has here is they want to trim the cost as much as humanly possible. We know that the Oculus Rift is $349.99. Maybe Oculus has this idea that when they come out with the Rift S, it's $299.99, and that's going to be the new price. And they've cut a number of different corners here and there to get down to that $299 price. And maybe we're still, you know, there might be a handful of improvements like God rays. It'll have new lenses and new Fresnel lenses, some minor different upgrades here and there. And so it might be a slight upgrade in certain ways, but it might be more designed for cost savings. And so this might not be the appeasement that we all thought it was going to be. So, you know, that's a good possibility there. Jason Westmus says, I'm the pickiest PC gamer in the world. So much so that I don't play a lot of games. Actually, I prefer non-digital tabletop games better and open up Tabletop Simulator more than any other PC game environment. I think today's VR headsets are looking awesome, but yeah, But yeah, I want the best one, and I won't buy it without the well-done games. Well, you know what? There's a lot of well-done games that are already out there right now. I mean, you know, I do VRGameRankings.com. We have a top 200, and honestly, I think you could go through about the top 165 games, and they're great. We've got the great games. We have well-done games. Now, I was just talking about the polish, though, with Angry Birds VR, Isle of Pigs, and I was talking about how the polish in Tumble VR, we don't have that for everything. That is true. And so if you want polish from everything, we are limited there. In terms of, you know, wanting the best headset, obviously we all want that. But yeah, you might want to wait a little bit. Just like Ragdoll Coon is saying, maybe wait for the Rift S, although, you know, the software IPD definitely a downgrade. And Jason Westmus checking in again, he says, I'm so against these subs, clubs, ecosystems, etc. They want to lock you in and charge you every single month for their service and then punish you when you don't pay up. Screw that. I won't buy into it. I'm trying to figure out what he's actually talking about here, because if he's talking about the ecosystems, like for the Oculus Quest, because he's talking about paying monthly for a service. I'm not sure what he means here. Is he talking about like PSN, you know, like you're paying monthly for that, or if you're on Xbox Live, you know, you're paying monthly for Xbox Live. We don't really have that in the VR world. I mean, we do have it for PlayStation Plus, for PSVR, but everybody's trying to create a closed ecosystem. That's the ultimate goal. Everybody has those dollar signs in their eyeballs. All these companies do anyway. If you're Sony, if you're Microsoft, if you're Facebook, if you're Google, everybody, they all want what Apple has. So unfortunately, this stuff isn't going away. The whole games as a service thing, it is not going away. I'm not a fan of it either. You know, I'm absolutely not a fan of it either, but it's just the modern reality of the world right now. Max Grit says Space Junkies looks good. Yeah, you know, that arcade trailer we saw did look pretty good. VR Spry Guy, Fanatical has a game bundle. So he was talking about this before he started watching the show and then realized that we did cover it a little bit late in the show. Scion VR says, if the Rift S has tracking that is the same as the Quest, then it won't have good enough tracking for my needs. I also get a headache when my IPD setting is a millimeter off. So I imagine a software IPD would be no good for me. Sad day if this is true. Well, you know what? Do you have an Oculus Go? Do you have a PlayStation VR? I have both an Oculus Go and a PlayStation VR. Both of them have single screens. Both of them have software IPD adjustment, right? Or, I mean, the Go doesn't even have an IPD adjustment, does it? I can't remember, like, can you get into the, like, I don't think there is I think it's just whatever the fixed IPD is and you just live with it. And my IPD is pretty big. My IPD is 72. And I use the PlayStation VR. I use the Oculus Go. And it works well. But it's funny because, like, Gary of VR Roundtable is always talking about how he loves the Oculus Go, like the visuals, like the clarity of everything. Like, he's really happy with what the Oculus Go brought to the table. And I don't know if it's more a case of the God rays that have been kind of reduced dramatically on the Oculus Go, or what it is. But like, whenever he starts talking about the Oculus Go, I start thinking in my head, does he have a different Go than I do? But you know what I think it is? I think it's his IPD. Like, I think when he puts on the Oculus Go, his IPD is dialed in. Like, his IPD is probably close to what the Go's native fixed IPD is. And so he gets that Go on his head, and it looks really good, where my IPD is like way off the Richter scale in one direction. And the Go still looks pretty good, but I don't know. I feel like something is a little bit off on it, and I think that might be that software IPD. It is kind of interesting, though, Cyan, that you might get headaches if it's just a millimeter off. I could see if it's like 5, 7, 8 millimeters off, that would be a problem. I don't know about a couple of millimeters, but that's interesting there. And Cyan is in chat. Actually, you know what? Let me pop I mean, I have chat popped out, but let me go ahead and read chat a little bit over here. So Shirzad Khan City says, Quest better have inside-out tracking figured out completely. And good news and bad news on that front, because the bad news is I don't know that any company is going to nail something on their very first attempt. I've talked about this a million times. Microsoft didn't nail it on their first attempt. Are we supposed to expect Facebook to nail it on their first attempt? Now, the good news, here's the good news. The good news is Facebook has an entire facility called Facebook Reality Labs. Facebook is very heavily invested in this. They're pot committed. They're all in. They are basically all in. I don't know that Microsoft is all in. And so I know Microsoft has big research and development wings. You know, they have their own campuses and stuff, and they work really hard on this stuff, and they spend a lot of time and resources trying to figure it out. But Facebook, I guess the hope that we have to have in regards to Quest is that Facebook is really, really keeping this in R&D, and they're really working on that inside-out tracking as much as humanly possible. You know, they're really banging away on that. So we got to hope, you know, but that is, that was Shirzad Khan City in chat. And Scion says, Quest is better tracking than Windows Mixed Reality, but it's not up to par with Constellation or Vive tracking. Yeah, you know, there's some people that were at Oculus Connect, and they tried the Quest. And so, you know, some people got hands-on actual impressions. I should have went to Oculus Connect. It was a terrible mistake that I didn't go. I'm guessing Scion maybe went because he's saying Quest is better tracking, or maybe he's just talking about the people that have reported on that. Okay, Chris in chat says, with inside-out tracking, the Rift S is just another mixed reality headset. No Oculus Rift owner asked for that. I agree completely, but what I'm wondering is, like, I just came up with this idea today, or I just came to this realization today, is maybe the Rift S is not what we thought it was. Maybe the Rift S is simply like a repackaging of the Oculus Rift. Maybe this is just replacing the Oculus Rift, and it's not meant to be this improvement that we all want. So it's more of a, it's kind of like, you know how PlayStation comes out with the PlayStation 4, and then a couple of years later, they got the PlayStation 4 Slim. The PlayStation 4 Slim is not an upgrade. It's just, it's a consolidation of everything, and they're able to make it cheaper, and it's just, it's kind of like, you know, the Microsoft Xbox One. They came out with the smaller Microsoft Xbox One. It's kind of like that. That's what the Rift S could be. Maybe it's, the Rift S might just be replacing the Rift, and our true Rift 1.5 maybe is still out there in the ether. Maybe we don't have that yet. Science says, I don't have a Go or PSVR. Fluke says, he's responding to Scion. He says, I think it's a reasonable possibility. Everything that's been suggested seems to be a cost-cutting exercise. That's what we could be looking at here. The Rift S is not made for us. That's Chris. Hussein X says, I'm happy I can use Go. It looks perfect for me. Was using Nature's Trek on it earlier as I couldn't sleep. Nature's Trek is in the news, actually, by the way. We'll get to that a little bit later. Fluke says, yeah, Anthony, have to agree with Gary about the Go. I have the average 64mm IPD, and black levels aside, Go is way better screen than Rift. So again, see, I think Fluke and I think Gary, I think you guys kind of lucked out with your IPD. I think, you know, you're kind of blessed in a way. If you have the average IPD of more people in the world that have that IPD, you're blessed. You are hella blessed, because those of us that either have our eyes like hella close, like we're a bug, or we got our eyes way the hell out here, we're kind of bones a little bit. Chris says, I'm not against the Rift S for new people, but really they should have a Rift 2 for us veterans too. For the veterans, the Rift S. Well, the Rift S, he says the Rift S really feels like a downgrade. It might be kind of a side grade, though, because it might be a downgrade in certain categories, but it might be a pretty significant upgrade in other categories for the God rays, for the brand new lenses. See, the fact of the matter is, any way you slice it, Oculus has learned a lot over these last several years. Oculus has learned a lot. And so regardless, even if the Rift S is a consolidation and it's a cost-cutting deal, it's a replacement for the regular Rift, even if that's the case, there's so many things that they've learned over the last 3 years that we're automatically going to get a lot of improvements by default. Just look at the Oculus Go. All we have to do is look at the Oculus Go and we can tell that right away. Scion says, well, it has a resolution bump, so it's sort of an upgrade. I feel Oculus is forcing us in a direction that Oculus wants us to go. How do we know it has a resolution bump? Do we know that? Because, see, the resolution bumps that we know about a resolution bump for the Acer Oho headset, for HP's Copper headset, and for the Vive Cosmos, we believe that all of those have a resolution bump. How do we know the Rift S has a resolution bump? I haven't heard. I mean, we should expect it. You'd expect they would at least match what the Vive Pro has and what the Odyssey has, the various Samsung Odysseys and the Vive Pro. You would think they would at least match that. But it does kind of appear that this 2160 by 2160, this may be the next standard. And that's kind of exciting that we're transitioning to a new standard. 2160 by 2160 in each eye. How awesome would it be if that is the new standard? That would actually be really cool. And Jason Westmus, he is in chat. Yeah, Anthony, as a designer guy who's involved with a lot of 3D software, I get bombarded with subs and pin. Yeah, it really is. I feel you, seriously, Jason Westmus. I do feel you, because you know what? Just the other day, I was trying to figure out OVR drop. And I'm trying to figure out OVR drop, and I'm trying to figure out, because I want to be able to do a gameplay live streaming, but have YouTube chat. Like, for example, like I wanted to do a live stream of playing some Scraper, Scraper First Strike. I could get into Scraper First Strike, just kind of play the game and have YouTube chat in the game at the same time. And so I bought OVR drop, and then I found out that you need to get this like Restream IO thing, and you got to get this, and you got to get that, and you got to sign up for this, and you got to sign. I'm sick of signing up for everything. Leave me the F alone. You know what I used to do way back in the days, and it's starting to really catch up with me? So I've been an internet guy for a very long time. And what I used to do with like every website everywhere, like all these different websites would always ask you for like your name, your address, your date of birth, this, that, and the other thing. I just made up fake stuff. I made up fake names. I made up fake birthdays. I made up fake addresses. I just made up all kinds of fake stuff because I thought, well, I'm not giving these fools my actual information. Now, that may be some bad karma, going back to our bad karma episode. And maybe I'm getting some flat, that's why I had a flat tire the other day, guys. Problem solved. I know why I have a flat tire, because I'm making up all these fake names and addresses. But I used to do that and give it to every single website under the sun. And then the problem is eventually you have a problem with something and they'll be like, well, what's your birthday? And I'll be like, oh man, I created a fake birthday. I don't know what my fake birthday is. But yeah, that's funny. That is really funny. Okay, anyway, I'll go back over here to, yeah, we do have quite a few comments on this. I just wanted to see if anybody, let's see, Lee Tobin says, figure I should at least shout you a coffee once a month. Oh, that's something probably for like Patreon or something. Or, yeah, hey, I appreciate anybody that does anything. I absolutely appreciate it. And you guys, no one has to donate anything. You don't have to donate anything. You don't have to sign up for a Patreon. You don't have to do a super chat. And I will not think any less of you at all. It is perfectly fine not to do anything whatsoever. I just want to have those options out there just in case. Let's see. The Nexus Lord says, you have to remember that the road to 100 million install base for Facebook Oculus is based on a VR console strategy. The Quest is for the VR Switch demographic, and the Rift 2 VR system console is going to be for the high end. They are simply releasing the Rift S to try to damage control. See, that's what I thought, but I don't know. The Rift S might simply be a replacement. It really might be a replacement for the regular Rift. And the appeasement HMD that we both think is going to happen, Nexus Lord, it might not be that. I am Ruts checking in. Been thinking about how VR enthusiasts are unrealistic. We want Rift 2.0 3 years after Rift 1 was released. It doesn't work like that, brah. It's almost been 6 years since PS4 and Xbox One released, and we're probably a year away. These companies will not set the precedent to release new generation every 3 years. It's too soon. Stop being spoiled and enjoy what we have. It will come with patience. Well, you know, to play devil's advocate, I am Ruts, we all remember what Palmer Luckey said before he got kicked out of Oculus. Remember what Palmer Luckey said? Palmer Luckey said that we're going to get new headsets faster than we get new consoles, but slower than we get new phones. We get a new phone every year. We get new consoles every 5 or 6 years. So if you do the math, 3 years, we're kind of right on time. We are really right on time. Would anybody be absolutely 100% shocked if we find out on March 28th, 2019, is March 28th the anniversary? I think it's the anniversary of the Oculus Quest. On March 28th, 2019, Facebook announces the Rift S is now available. This is the new Rift with some minor improvements. It is 3 years later to the date on the 3-year anniversary. I wouldn't necessarily be completely shocked about that. I think it is time. I really do. I think it is time for some slight upgrades. VR_gamer says, my next HMD has to be VR 2.0. I won't consider or purchase anything less. I'm not interested in incremental upgrades at this point. I can wait. 2020 seems like the most likely release date for VR 2.0, but there is nothing to be gained from speculation. Oh, there's a hell of a lot to be gained from speculation. It's how I get through these shows every day. If I had no speculation, my shows would be 10 minutes long. There's a lot to be gained from speculation. My question for VR_gamers, here's my question for you. Is 2160 by 2160 in each eye, is that VR 2.0? Because if that's VR 2.0, that's coming this year. Vive Cosmos is coming this year. The Acer Oho is coming this year. And according to Ben Lang, the HP Copper is also possibly coming this year. So do we consider that? Is that VR 2.0? You know what I want to do here? I want to go to Google real quick and let's go Acer Oho, Acer Oho 500 and then Qualcomm and reference and then 2160 by 2160. Because see, people are forgetting about this Acer Oho thing. Where is this? Okay, so January 11th. Yeah. I guess I'll click on this, VR Scout. Okay, so here's the thing. Qualcomm's mystery VR headset offers twice the pixels of Vive Pro. Like, people are forgetting about this headset here, this Acer Oho 500. It's been redesigned. We got the old, that's the old trailer for it. But it's 2160 by 2160 for each eye. We're forgetting about this Acer Oho thing. That's still out there. Like, that's still floating out there somewhere. I don't know when we're actually going to get it, but it's still floating out there. And I'm not seeing any other websites, but like, if I go to images here, see, here's the reference design here. This is Road to VR. Road to VR still has the best article on this. That's the Acer Oho. That's it right there. This is the new one. This is the new and improved one. And it's using this Qualcomm reference design. And it's 2160 by 2160 for each eye. Don't you guys remember when we were talking about this in terms of the Vive Cosmos? Because if you look at the Vive Cosmos, if you look at the headphone part of the Vive Cosmos and you look at this Acer Oho, they are basically identical. And so that's why we thought that Vive Cosmos is 2160 by 2160. Then we hear about the Copper. The HP Copper is 2160 by 2160. My question for everybody out there, is this VR 2.0? Would you consider that much of a resolution bump? Is that VR 2.0, or do you got to have a bigger FOV? Do you got to have eye tracking? Do you got to have foveated rendering? Do you got to have all these other things that add into it? It's a question. It's a good question. Okay, so my next story, let's go ahead and get off all of this stuff. My next story is, actually, let's go over here to Upload VR. And one thing I wanted to talk about really quick, this actually happened like the other day. I didn't cover it, but this might be kind of important right here. So let's go ahead and take a look at this audio thing here. We're talking about Oculus Audio SDK update has added geometry-based sound propagation. Now, a lot of people are talking about this on the Oculus subreddit, and some people are saying, wait, is this that big of a deal? Because hasn't Valve already had this for a number of years or whatever? But looking more into this, like looking deeper into this, this is an improvement. Like, this is improved beyond what Valve is doing. See, here we go. Valve's competing Steam Audio has had real-time occlusion and transmission modeling since late last year, but reflections have to be pre-baked. See, that's the real problem here. The reflections have to be pre-baked. Okay, wait, update article previously stated that Steam Audio had feature parity. Yeah, not quite. And they're breaking this down over on the Oculus subreddit all about this. But you know what? There's a trailer that Oculus has brought out that kind of demonstrates how the sound thing works. I grabbed that trailer. I think we should probably check it out. We should probably look at this trailer. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So I'm going to go ahead and bounce back over here to our standard scene. And I'm going to pump this volume up, and we're going to grab this trailer about this new sound technology. Because sound is half the battle, guys. Sound is huge. We can make incredible leaps in sound quality, and this could be a step towards that. Okay, so I'm going to pump up this volume and grab this trailer. Okay, yeah, so that's a little sampler there. It kind of gives us an idea of when you have propagation enabled or when you have it disabled, what the differences are there. And the main differences that we can hear when we do that is that when you don't have it enabled, the sound is just coming into your ears, and it's not taking any kind of, it's not taking into consideration like the space that you're in. And I've noticed this in so many different games where I think there could be dramatic improvements. I have some problems with some of the audio in some games. Like, I'll get into certain games, like some of these developers know how to do audio way the hell better than some of the other developers out there. We don't talk enough about this. Like, how often do people talk about audio? Like, has anybody ever done a top 20 best 3D audio in VR games? We should have that, but we don't. Like, people don't even know what good 3D audio is. All we think about is graphics, graphics, graphics. But audio is a very big part of the equation here. And you could definitely tell the difference there when that wall starts moving away. You can tell the difference, the audio in a small room, the audio in a large room. But there's a lot of VR games that don't take any advantage of this whatsoever. And I'm looking forward to this. I really am looking forward to dramatically improved audio in games. I can tell you some of the best audio I've ever heard in some of these VR games. I would have to say Heart of the Emberstone. Incredible audio design in that game. Transference, very good audio design in that game. Firewall 0 Hour on PlayStation VR, very good audio design in that game. What are some others? If you guys know of others, go ahead and say it, because we don't give enough love to audio, and it's terribly unfortunate that that's the case. But going back over here to this article, let me see here. So going back over to this, actually, let me go to the Oculus subreddit, because they're actually getting into the weeds with this a little bit more. Okay, so right here, Oculus Audio SDK adds geometry-based sound propagation. And so you click on this, and you guys, you have a number of people in here that are basically, they're breaking it down. You know, they're breaking it down in terms of what's really going on here. And you really get into the weeds, though. You definitely get way into the weeds. So it's probably not a good idea for me to get into the weeds on this, but what I'm trying to say here is this is actually legitimately important. My number one question, though, is what is the first thing, the first experience or the first game that will use this to the fullest extent? Like, I want a sample of this, because we always find out about these things, but give us a sample, give us an example that we can sink our teeth into. But that is this audio thing that is going on. They are talking about that. Okay, another little news that has popped up, and it is Oculus related, is let's go over here to the Oculus page for Asgard's Wrath. There is now an actual page for this game. And you know what people noticed is right down here, coming soon, July 2019. So this is kind of a new thing that we're starting to see from Oculus on their store. We've seen a number of changes that have come to the Oculus store. First of all, we're now seeing demos. We were never seeing demos before. We were also seeing, like, we're getting dates on when things actually released, which we never got dates before. And so they're making some minor changes here. And one of the things they're doing is this coming soon. Like, they're giving us estimations. That's how we found out just the other day, Space Junkies looks like a March game now, because we saw it in the Oculus store and it said 03/2019. Now, this is not locked in stone. This does not guarantee that Asgard's Wrath is absolutely without question coming in July. No, it's tentative. This is the tentative date, but it's, you know, that's where it's penciled in right now. So it's looking like a big summer banger for Oculus. We're absolutely looking forward to that. Since we are in the Oculus area, I guess we might as well go ahead and check on what is the daily deal for Oculus today. Let's go ahead and check on that, and I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And our daily deal for today is Nature Treks VR. Somebody actually mentioned this in chat. Was it Shirzad Khan City? Somebody mentioned something about kicking back in Nature Treks VR, like kind of relaxing in here. And so Nature Treks VR, $7. Normal price is $10. It's 30% off. No objectives, no worries. Explore tropical beaches, underwater oceans, and even take to the stars. Discover over 60 different animals. Command the weather. Take control of the night or shape your own world. Immerse yourself into the Nature Treks VR experience and escape into a world of relaxation. Discover over 60 different animals, elephants, lions, whales, dinosaurs, and many more. Explore with a range of locomotion options. Control weather and time of day. Each environment has been carefully crafted to influence specific emotional states. You know, I mean, I've talked about this before. Like, I did a Let's Play of... What was I did? I did a Let's Play of Jet Island. And one of the things I mentioned with Jet Island, and this happens with me for a lot of VR games, is, and I don't know if other, like I asked, have other people noticed this? I got to imagine it affects a lot of you the same way. I will get into VR and you're just off in this VR world and you're doing stuff in VR world, and I'll just start thinking some really deep thoughts, you know. It's almost like meditation in a way. Like, I've never really tried to meditate, and I guess, well, meditation is actually clearing your mind of all thoughts, and that's not really what I'm describing. What I'm describing is like you just kind of go deep into these weird thoughts about just, you're just thinking about stuff, and I don't know what it is about being in VR that triggers that for me. But I bet you if I was in this, like Nature Treks VR, I bet you that would trigger a lot of that for me. I do think stuff like this is really going to be awesome, like chilling at a beach, by the ocean, a nice forest, you know, being somewhere where the rain is coming down, these different kinds of environments. In real life, this stuff affects us. It affects us in different ways. Like, how awesome is it? Like, those of you that are coffee drinkers, you know, and it hasn't rained in a really long time, and it's like a Saturday morning, and the rain is coming down, and you're drinking a nice cup of coffee. There's something magical about that, and we're going to be able to recreate that in VR in the near future. See, I don't think we're going to be able to quite recreate it right now. Now, we can try to do it, but I think this is where we need much more photorealism. Like, I want to be able to sit at a beach, have waves crashing, you know, the waves going back and forth, have seagulls landing and flying around, you know, an occasional person walks by, but I want photorealism. I want photoreal all around me, and I think these things will be absolutely really awesome for that when we get to photorealism. That is Nature Treks VR. Let's see, just checking chat in case anybody might be talking about any of this. Great Tantrum says, is Angry Birds VR coming to PSVR? Yes, we did see a tweet from Resolution Games. They are working on the PSVR version. Crash says, the games I play, shoot first, don't miss, don't get shot. So, Crash, you aren't walking through the forest, huh? You're not walking through the forest looking for that rare deer and enjoying the rainfall that is coming down. You're not enjoying that? And Prince Alexander says, not here in the Pacific Northwest. It rains here every frickin' day. Instead, we want Sunshine Simulator. My virtual diary says, the energy that my eye receives from the screen exits me. Exits me more than it relaxes. Yeah, you know, that is a thing. Like, I always talk about how when you put on a VR headset, there's a cost. We're paying a price, and it's one of the reasons I don't play a lot of retro stuff. I don't do emulators in VR because I don't really think the cost is worth it. And yeah, there is eye strain. And I know some of you guys don't experience any eye strain. And Main Fan says, if you're fighting enemies in Jet Island, you're not thinking deep thoughts. That's true. You're not. But I don't seem to fight a lot of enemies in Jet Island. I just cruise the scenery, basically, is what I do. But that's Nature Treks VR. It is the Oculus Daily Deal. I don't know too much else about that. Okay, so one of the things we can do here is let's go back over here to our standard scene. And one thing I need to do real quick is switch to our tweet window. We do have a tweet, y'all. We've actually had a tweet already, but this is a tweet that I've actually got for you guys. So let's go ahead and switch over here to our tweet window. And so here we are, guys, in celebration of all the 2018 Game of the Year awards and accolades. Guess what's coming back, guys? The free Tetris Effect weekend trial demo is coming back. Yes, all of you guys can experience why Tetris Effect is the VR Game of the Year. From February 8th through February 11th, so this starts tomorrow. It concludes sometime on the 11th. You can download the free limited time demo on PlayStation Store, or you could buy that full digital game 25% off. Yep, Tetris Effect is going to have a free demo. Well, it already has a free demo, but remember, the demo expired. I'm gonna have to get back into this demo of Tetris Effect. I'm gonna have to figure this thing out because I gotta tell you guys, I tried the Tetris Effect demo and I didn't see what everybody else was seeing. I'm wondering, I still wonder a little bit whether or not I ever even saw, like, was I seeing it the right way? Was I even getting the full 3D effect, the VR effect? Was I getting any of that? Because who is it? Is it Greg's VR? There's somebody that is in our chat that is a fan of Tetris Effect. I'm not a fan of it, but there's people that swear this is like a freaking life-changing experience. So, and Phil Yarn says, wow, Tetris Effect is the perfect VR game for me to poop on. Yeah. And Kev Gretz says, why so much hate on Tetris VR? I think it was a very well done game and works just fine in VR. Well, I don't know. I guess I might have been doing something wrong, because when I was in Tetris Effect, I didn't notice VR anything. All I noticed was there was a 2-dimensional plane that was like floating out here that I was playing Tetris on. And then, yeah, there were some weird things that were going around, but I couldn't pay attention to that. I'm trying to play Tetris. Man. And I'm focusing on that 2D platform. And there's some little things that are, you know, they're going around on the sides of you, but I'm not noticing any of it. So I don't know. I still have this demo. I think it is still on my PlayStation 4. I don't think I've deleted it yet. So hopefully that demo will reactivate it, and maybe I'll jump back in there. You know, maybe I'll jump back in this tomorrow and see if I can figure out what I've been missing, because there's got to be something I've been missing. No, I like Tetris. It's fun. Like, Tetris is a cool game. It's an interesting game. I just don't see why, like, I don't see a reason for this to be in VR. I don't understand, like, why it is in VR. I don't think it is enhanced by VR at all. But I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. So there is that demo, so I can try it. Okay, one other thing that we can get into real quick is cyber shoes. Yeah, guys, cyber shoes, you know? Why don't I go ahead and go, I'm going to run the Cyber Shoes trailer. There's a Cyber Shoes trailer that is out, and then we can talk about this Indiegogo and the Cyber Shoes thing. I'm not really a fan of this. I got to admit it. I'm not really a fan of this, but let's go ahead and check out this trailer. We can talk about it for a minute. So let me grab this Cyber Shoes. Let's pop this puppy on there.
Stretches the boundaries of our own reality. One of the limits we face when entering this world is movement. We wanted the experience to feel as real as possible, so we created Cyber Shoes. Cyber Shoes bring your feet back into the game, letting you navigate your games using your feet rather than your hands. Running from the comfort of your own chair lets you keep your normal seated position, but opens up a more natural way to trek the paths of your favorite games. We managed to keep the design as simple as possible, while integrating inside tracking with analog movement detection. The shoes keep their own orientation. You can run, walk, sneak, and jump using the shoes, giving you the most accuracy in navigating a game ever. We have been through countless designs, trying to make it right, but now we have a product that runs more stable than the VR system itself. Slip on another pair of shoes and sign into the game. The seated position makes multiplayer in VR feel like there are no walls in the room at all. Cyber Shoes are one size fits all. Slip on over your regular shoes and secure to your feet with bindings, just like a snowboard, to ensure that the game picks up exactly what your feet are doing at all times.
We emulate the touchpad of the controller, so now it's playable with all the games that are already featuring some movement. There's this big virtual reality out there, and you can't walk it.
I'm an early adopter of VR, and I love the possibilities it offers. But I was so disappointed when I realized that I could not take more than a few steps before hitting a wall. That's why we have developed Cyber Shoes to give you the access.
Okay, yeah, so we've seen some of this stuff before. I've seen, like, some of this trailer is like new stuff I haven't seen before, but we have seen a Cyber Shoes thing before. And my feelings about Cyber Shoes have been the same ever since the very beginning. Like, the idea of sitting down doesn't work for me. It only works for me if I'm in a cockpit game. But at the same time, I like the fact that we have this product. I think this is a good product, and especially for people that are noobs. You know, they're VR noobs and they have motion sickness issues. Like, this would really solve a lot of that motion sickness problem. Like, if you get into, like, there's people that get into VR, they just cannot handle it at all. They immediately get a little bit motion sick, they get a little bit dizzy, and I can imagine at it. Now, you need this chair too. Look at the chair that's everybody's using. You need a swivel chair that has no obstructions, so you can swivel around completely. So you kind of need the chair as well. Like, I don't think this includes the chair when you get the Cyber Shoes, and you really do need that chair, or a very similar chair anyway. But the good news about this is, if you know somebody that they just can't hack it in VR, but they really would like to hack it in VR, this could be a potential solution to them. But for me, this destroys immersion. I want boots on the ground. I want to stand up. I want to feel like I'm in the world. I don't want to sit down. The only time I'm ever going to sit down is if I'm playing like a tank game, or I'm in a, Wipeout VR or something like that. I'm sitting in a chair. Well, Max Grit says, the chair is included. Really? It really is included? Swivel chairs are $45. That's Max Grit. Okay, let's go ahead and switch back over here to, let's go back to our Webby browser, because I think I might, do I have a thing for Cyber Shoes? Yeah, I do. Okay, so let's go back over here. Here is Cyber Shoes. It is on Indiegogo. And let's see. So if you were to buy this thing, the early bird, you get 51% off. Oh, yeah, it does. I guess it includes the chair and this little circular thing as well. So 269 bones. Estimated delivery July 2019. You do have to pay some shipping as well. That is early bird. And then Cyber Shoes plus Cyber Carpet. Cyber Carpet, brah. You gotta have that Cyber Carpet. If you don't have that Cyber Carpet, you might as well get the F out. You gotta have the Cyber Carpet. So this one includes the Cyber Shoes, the Cyber Carpet, and Cyber Chair. Cyber Chair TM. Okay, and so this is July 2019 as well. Man, you got boned if you didn't get in the early bird, because you're only paying $10 more and you get Cyber Chair. And then this one here, what is this? Cyber Shoes Gaming Station. Okay, ooh, a red chair. Straight upgrade, bro. Straight upgrade. And then here's a double up version. 2 times the Cyber Shoe fun. 2 times the fun without 2 times the cost. And here's the arcade station with special arcade support. Non-slip Cyber Carpet. Oh, look at the little video they show. Well, isn't that cute? Now, do they have the rights to this video? Do they have the rights to this fake-ass video that we all know is fake? Like, I remember this back in the earliest days of VR. Nobody is taking off running like this, like they're running a frickin' marathon. This video was deliberately designed to go viral. This lady said, look, I'm going to take it on my elbow, I'm going to take it on my shin, and I'm going to take it right on my head. But you know what? This video is going to go viral as F. So pad me up and let me go. Like, first of all, look at the cord this girl has. Her cord is like 90 feet long. Like, nobody has a VR cord like that. And I don't know, like, does Cyber Shoes really? Do you guys have the rights to this video? I represent this chick, all right? I represent her. You don't have the rights to this video. Cease and desist. Cease and desist. Okay, Cyber Shoes, small shoes, one big experience. You know, they talked about one size fits all. And you know what I said? One size does not fit all. Okay, we want small, medium, or large. Okay, here's somebody sticking their head right into the TV. Yeah, and then, of course, you know, Ready Player One as well, right? Cyber Shoes VR for the noobs that don't really like VR but would like to. Play all VR games. Your hands are free. Get fit at the same time. It is a straight up cure for VR sickness. No ginger or cannabis needed. 360-degree freedom. If you buy the chair, optional chair. Explore new worlds. Play with friends. Double up for some double mint gum. Arcade at home. And all these incredible games are supported. Cyber Chair VR. Gee, I wonder why they got these 2 big guys right here. Yeah, you could be a big guy. You get that Cyber Carpet and you are in the mix. Like, if you got, honestly, you just need the Cyber Carpet. You don't need the shoes, but you need the Cyber Carpet, brah. Cyber Shoes. Wow. I don't know. Not into the Cyber Shoes, guys. Not into it. But, I mean, I don't know. I wonder if I'll ever get so bored or tired of standing. I guess if you got into Skyrim and you want to play Skyrim for 5 hours, you would get tired of standing after a while. And Rendered Reality said, you just called me a ginger? No, I'm saying people take ginger. People take ginger tablets or little pills to try to deal with motion sickness. So going back here, we wanted to see what some people are talking about. Max Grit, yes, early bird. Are you really? Did you really jump in on this, Max? Max Grit, I feel like I want to run until, he says, I feel like I want to run until wall like that girl. Okay, trying to understand that. Jim Hall says, don't knock it until you try it. No, I'm going to knock it right now. Scion says, girl screams out for cyber shoes, then runs full tilt. Max Grit, especially when zombies are coming at you at full force. Alexander Ritter, one size to rule them all. And Pealu says, I'm size UK 7. If you have tiny feet, would it be like wearing snowshoes? Probably. VR Spry Guy says, I haven't played Jet Island, but I have Windlands 2, and I definitely don't like Windlands 2 as much as Anthony. I love Windlands 2. You're not playing it right, VR Spry Guy. Kevgret says, this is not coming out July 2019. Come on now, let's be real here. Mike and Sebastian. Okay, so Jim Hall is saying Mike and Sebastian thought it was a good product. That's that payola, baby. That's that payola. You know, Cyber Shoes probably gave him about 4 packages of it. And we're like, here, it's a very nice product, right? Right? As I hand you 4 boxes of this, it's a really nice product, right? And that's what Main Fan is actually saying right here in chat. Mike and Sebastian were probably paid. Crunchy says a lot of the reviewers said they were good. Yeah, you have to take a whole ginger to not get motion sickness. And Chris says, just standing without moving is an immersion breaker too. You guys are too negative on this. Okay, so here's how you do it, guys. You know what I used to do back in the days? It's going to be hard to break this down. But here's what I used to do back in the days. Well, I'd have to stand way far back to try to show this. But what I did was, see, I have a pretty big room scale area. Like this whole space out here, like I could do the full-on unseen diplomacy stuff. And in my early days of VR, what I would do is I would use teleport, but I would try to walk around as much as possible. So I'd walk a couple of steps, teleport, walk a couple of steps, you know, I'd walk back a little bit, I'd walk again, you know, and I'd be bending down, moving around like, yeah, I'm really in the game, guys, I'm really in the game. And I'd walk back a little bit, I'd walk forward a little bit. And so I would do all of that, and it was like, I want the immersion of being in that world. And sitting down in a chair, I won't get the immersion, man. I won't. I want to be standing up, boots on the ground. See, here's the thing, guys. Another thing that I want, and I want this really, really bad. What I want really bad is I want to be able to look down and see my body, man. That's really what I want. I want to see my shoulders, my chest. I want to see my legs. I want to see my feet. And then I want to be able to walk around and move around and see everything. And I think that's going to put me in the VR world. Sitting in a chair ain't going to put me in the VR world. But this is a great product. I'm going to tell you right now, this is probably a very good product. Oh, yeah, I'm going to take my cyber shoes wherever I go, bro. Yeah, man. Taking my cyber shoes on the go, bro. Just right in my backpack. It works so easy, man. I can take my cyber shoes everywhere. You know, one size fits all, brah. Yeah, buddy, cyber shoes. And look at the way it locks. Oh, that's such a nice lock. Like, you could take these cyber shoes and you can climb the side of a mountain as soon as you're done. This is an awesome product, guys. Cyber shoes like never before. Mark P said they had a Kickstarter campaign that originally promised January 2019 delivered. They moved the date back to July. They probably will meet August. Phil Yearn says, play contractors. Mysterious Mr. X, not a fan of the shoes. Jim Hall says the CEO looks like a mad scientist. I know, he kind of looks like Einstein's brother. Einstein's brother is basically the CEO. Cyber shoes to the water park, bruh. Hells yeah, baby. No, you take them cyber shoes, man, you throw it in your backpack, and you are about the trendiest person on planet Earth. Like, if you got an awesome backpack, bruh, you take those cyber shoes with you, it is game on, dog. But no, this is a good product. I do believe, and there he is, Einstein's brother. There's Einstein. He's a mad scientist. Basically, you know, there you go. Okay, so if we want to do Back to the Future 4, grab this guy. There's Back to the Future 4, Rick and Morty. He's the scientist, you know. Michael Biegelmeier. He's a mad scientist. That is Einstein's brother. He is in the building. But yeah, you know, I throw shade a little bit on cyber shoes, but it might be kind of cool. And for people that can't handle VR, if this gets them in VR, and how many people have their headset just dangling around like that? Yeah, let's just leave our headset dangling around in the mist, in the wind. I don't think that's a very good idea to have your headset dangle quite like that. And all of these people have their head, you know, they got their wires dangling from the ceiling as well. So if you really want cyber shoes to be all that in a bag of chips, you've also got to run your wires up there. I still can't get over the fact, though, that they have that girl running into the wall and they did not pay. They did not pay for this. They don't have the rights for this. I represent her. We will be notifying you, cyber shoes. She is my client, you know. She took a header. Look at the plant. Look at this video. Like, seriously, guys, does anybody think this video is legit? That's what I want to know. Does anybody think this video is actually legit? Does anybody think anybody would take off running 50 miles per hour? Like, she could be in a goddamn Olympics as fast as she's running. Okay, where did they get the 100-meter long Vive cord? That's the other question I want to ask. Like, this is not a legit thing at all, and they are using this to sell their product. Cyber shoes, baby. Yeah, they've raised 30,000 GER, 30 GER. They got 102% of their fixed goal. This is happening, y'all. Cyber carpet is happening. Cyber carpet is a reality. Alrighty, guys. Well, you know what? We have gone well over an hour here, and it's kind of amazing, but we did it. Oh wait, I have one more Patreon supporter to thank on my way out, because we did thank Jesse Benson. He was our second ever Patreon supporter on the very first day. See, Gary Haylock and Jesse Benson both on the very first day, and one other guy on the very first day, Liam Siddiq. Liam Siddiq, I want to thank you very much, because basically Gary Haylock, Jesse Benson, Liam Siddiq, you guys are in a rarefied club. You are the first 3 Patreon supporters on the very first day. And so whenever I finally make some t-shirts, which I will this spring, you guys are going to get Founders t-shirts, man. You guys are going to get limited edition t-shirts. Gary R. Haylock, Jesse Benson, and Liam Siddiq. These guys were my first 3 Patreon supporters, so I definitely want to send out a lot of thanks, a lot of well wishes. Absolutely appreciate it. Like, I can't even say how much I appreciate it. It is tremendous. All of the support. I mean, all the Patreon supporters, I'm you know, absolutely grateful. I'm blown away that anybody would pay 10 cents for anything. Like, totally blown away. So much love, Liam Siddiq. Much love, Jesse Benson. Much love, Gary R. Haylock. And I will continue to throw some support out there for all my Patreon supporters. But I definitely want to highlight you guys, because you guys were the very first day. Hey, there's Gary Haylock. He's showing up in chat. Yeah, first day. And Gary, I think you were the first. Like, I think Gary was the very first, Jesse was number 2, Liam was number 3, but all 3 of you guys were on the first day. That was awesome. But I do have to get the heck out of Dodge. I'm starting to get very hungry. So I will grab my little background here. So yeah, that's going to go ahead and do it for today's show. Angry Birds VR, Isle of Pigs, it is out there. It is available right now, so maybe you want to go ahead and check that out. If you got 15 bucks kicking around and you're really looking for some Angry Birds action, and if you don't want to throw out 15 bucks but you still like to get a little taste of some Angry Birds action, VR Furballs Demolition, they got a demo. It is available. Check it out. All right, well, that's going to go ahead and do it for our show. I will be back tomorrow right around 11 a.m. Pacific time, roughly, okay? Friday show. I will see you guys on Friday. Have a wonderful day. Take it easy. Later.